The biggest games, the greatest players, and the largest payouts on the planet. The WPT is a series of international high-stakes poker tournaments that can turn amateur players into millionaires and make professionals into superstars. With millions of dollars on the line, it's time for these three players to live the dream of fame, fortune, and the one thing money can't buy, a WPT title. Tonight on the World Poker Tour.
Hi everyone, we are back at the Hollywood Casino in Lawrenceburg, Indiana for the dramatic conclusion of the inaugural Hollywood Poker Open. I'm Mike Sexton alongside Vince Van Patten, and this is the WPT.
And Mike, the first WPT final table at Hollywood Casino has been a great one. I mean, we've had lights, we've had cameras, and we've had a lot of big-time action.
Well, that's right, Vince. The three short stacks wasted no time in mixing it up. Online pro Jerry Payne shoved at the wrong time against Mike Mustafa.
All in. Call.
University of Illinois graduate Ravi Raghavan
All in.
fell victim to the pocket kings of Frank the Tank Calo. And Chris Bell, the poker pro out of North Carolina, could not win the race against Carlos Mortensen.
Then with the final three players nearly even in chips, Mike and Frank set their targets on Carlos Mortensen, the man chasing 2 WPT records. And they managed to put a dent or two in the armor of the Matador.
We'll have to see if Carlos can turn things around and cement his place in WPT history.
Well, the cash, the title, it is all on the line for these remaining players. Let's check the chip count and then go watch the bluffing begin.
Well, we started 4 days ago with 144 players. We are now down to 3. The winner tonight going to take home a WPT title as well as nearly $400,000 in cash. There you see the chip count of the players. Frank Calo, the 22-year-old pro out of New York, in first place. Mike Mustafa, pro out of Chicago, in second place. And Carlos Mortensen, 2-time WPT champ, sitting in third place right now.
The antes are 3,000, blinds 15 and 30.
Now round to Carlos Mortensen.
Whoa.
And look at this. He picks up a nice hand. He's got ace-king here in the small blind.
And the Matador is getting the raising chips out. Makes it 90,000 to go, like he should.
How much should they on approximately? 800, so 800.
Frank wants to know how much he's got left. It's about 800,000. Frank with the Queen Jack wants to see a flop, sitting in position, got the chip lead, makes the call.
So Ace King up against Queen Jack. Here's the flop.
Well, look at that, Vince. Carlos bet in the dark before the flop came out there. He bet 150,000, and the flop comes ace-9 deuce.
And hits perfectly with the aces. Oh boy, you're in good stroke when that happens.
Well, Frank has no part of this flop.
But the bet in the blind can invite a call here for sure, and it does.
Well, Frank is going to make the call. That tells me he's going to try to take the pot away maybe later. Now another ace comes off, so Carlos has 3 aces with a king kicker. And he's going to check. And quickly, Frank checks right behind him with the Queen Jack. Now the board pairs 9s.
Oh, and Carlos is going to put a tower out there.
That's about 200,000 worth of chips.
And the tank quickly folding the hand, so things working very nicely there for Carlos Mortensen.
Well, there you see the graphic of the all-time money winners on the WPT. Daniel Negreanu out in front, but if Carlos finishes first or second tonight, he will overtake Daniel as the all-time money winner on the World Poker Tour.
Oh, the Matador, Carlos Mortensen, is one of the greats, no doubt about it.
Well, Vance, what's really impressive about Carlos is that for every WPT event he enters, he's averaging over 100,000 in earnings. That's far and away the best on the WPT for players that have entered 20 events or more.
Well, Frank the Tank this time looks down at a King Jack. Still our chip leader. He puts out a raise, makes it 75,000 to go. Here's the former car salesman, Mike Mustafa. He goes out.
Well, Carlos has the ace-10 suited here. Pretty good hand in a 3-handed poker game. It's good enough for Carlos to raise, that's for sure. He makes it 160,000 to go.
What do you have behind?
Look at this.
1 million.
You ask what you got behind. Now, Vince, he would know that answer because they asked him just the last pot. He just wants to hear Carlos talk a little.
Nothing wrong with that. This is poker. And the tank is going to call him.
And Carlos bet blind once again.
He bet 160,000 blind.
Oh, and what a flop for Frank as he's flopped top pair here. He has taken the lead with 2 kings.
Yeah, he's outflopped the Matador.
Now, last time, Frank had nothing on the flop and called him. This time he's got top pair, and he's just going to call him again. Doesn't raise here.
Turn card showing up. 4 diamonds helps neither player.
Well, Carlos is going to check now. Didn't like it when he got called on the flop there. And Frank going to check right behind him.
Yeah. Interesting. Okay, going to the river.
Oh, an ace comes off.
Ouch.
Carlos now has the best hand with 2 aces. So the free card that Frank gave him is going to come back to burn him.
Yep, the tank let Carlos outdraw him there.
Well, Carlos is checking here.
That's surprising.
Well, he's not going to put his opponent on 2 kings because the guy didn't bet on the turn, so maybe he thinks he made a straight or 2 pair and was just trying to trap him. He didn't want to fall into any traps with 1 pair, so he checks the aces. I guarantee he's going to call in case Frank bets. But Frank opts to check, and wisely so, but right now very disgusted with himself for not betting that hand on the turn where he would have won that pot. So finally a break going to the way of Carlos Mortensen.
As soon as you check the river, I knew you just bank the ace.
Carlos turning it around. Maybe left a few papas fritas on the table. Didn't make the value bet. Nevertheless, he is coming back. We're coming back too on the World Poker Tour.
My nickname, the Matador.
The Matador slays another opponent.
I kill many people in the final tables.
One more time. I move on in. That is what he's talking about.
Maybe it's because I have no fear and I'm playing.
He's done it. The Matador is a 2-time WPT champion.
Welcome back to the World Poker Tour. That is the man with the red cape, the Matador, Carlos Mortensen.
Yep, he's going for his 3rd WPT title tonight. That would tie him with Gus Hansen for the most wins in the history of the World Poker Tour. Let's see if he can get it done.
Yeah, 3-handed poker, but the action goes to the former car salesman, Mike Mustafa. Peaks down at a 9-8 offsuit.
And he's on the button. He's in position, so he's going to raise it here. He's going to make it 75,000 to go.
Into Carlos, who's going to throw away a Jack-4. And now Frank the Tank.
Well, he looks down at the King-4 diamonds, but most guys might just call with that. Not Frank the Tank. He is firing it up to 200,000. He is re-raising with the King-4, and he's quickly called by Mike Mustafa.
Yep.
So we are starting to gamble it up here.
Got King-4 up against 9-8. Who's going to get lucky?
Oh, bingo, bango, bongo for Mike Mustafa. He has flopped the joint, the 9-high straight. He has the best hand possible right now. Action is on Frank, and look at this, Vince. He is reaching for a healthy dose of chips that he can just say goodbye to.
Oh, man, the tank is plunging ahead. It looks like a bet of 203,000.
Yeah, no way Frank can win this pot. It's just a matter of how much he loses.
Well, you're so excited if you're Mike, and he's just going to okie dokie call him. Trying to trap his opponent. Here we go with the turn card, Queen of Diamonds, irrelevant.
Well, action back on Frank. He got called on the flop for 203,000, so he can't like King-4 right now. You're actually hoping to make a straight with the King-4, but unfortunately for Frank, even if he makes it, it's just going to cost him more money.
Well, the tank is checked.
400.
Wow, 400,000 is the bet, and I say wow, because there's no flush possibilities. He's got the best hand possible. If his opponent had 2 pair or trips, he would have bet out, so...
Yeah, I don't understand this bet. I mean, what are you trying to protect? Let the guy possibly suck out on you, but you got such a huge hand, a 3-handed poker game at this moment.
Or catch a card,
Yeah.
man. Suppose a 3 or an 8 comes off, he's going to bust the guy.
A little bit of a eager bet there, but perhaps not in his eyes.
Can't wait to see what you got there. You'll be shocked how cheap you got away from the hand.
When you have the nuts to win a big pot, you just don't feel like you can check on any
God,
street.
If you had anything, you would have went busting the hand.
Because then the pot doesn't get that big. But in this case...
You know, he's a former car salesman. It's like, you know, over-talking your sale and just chasing the guy out of the dealership. It's just wrong.
Ah.
All right, back to this hand. Frank the Tank, this time with a pair of 8s.
This time he's got a legitimate hand. And he is going to raise it. You can't blame him for that. He makes it 75,000 to go. Mike Mustafa has 2 7s. He is in dire straits this time around.
Oh, boy. Buckle up.
He just flopped the nuts to win a nice pot off Frank. But this time, we could see a reversal of fortune.
And Mike is going to get aggressive. He's going to raise here. Makes it 225.
Well, he's come right back over the top, raising with the 2-7s. Carlos gets out of their way.
Now back on Tank.
He's about a 4-1 favorite to win this pot. And Vince, if he gambles here, there's a good chance he's going to double up, that's for sure. It's going to cost him another $150,000 to make the call. The question is, do you call or raise? Wow, Vince, he does neither. He folds. Well, Vince, if Frank doesn't go on to win this tournament, he's going to look back at this hand right here and realize, wow, I had my chance. I should have gone for it right there.
So the car salesman, Mike Mustafa, sells his opponent the clunker, gets away with it. We're coming back with more action from the World Poker Tour in just a moment.
So I'm never quiet at a table. Should have called Calo. So rock and roll. My buddies at home, they get sick of me. I talk so much. And I might be able to bust you now. They put headphones on all the time so they don't have to listen to me. You guys are all serious here.
Welcome back to the Hollywood Casino in Lawrenceburg, Indiana, where 3 players are still in the hunt to become the first Hollywood Poker Open champion.
Okay, let's check the chip count and get back down to the felt.
Well, we've had a reversal of fortune in the chip count, as you can see. Mike Mustafa now out in front with 1.9 million. Carlos Mortensen in second place with 1.5, and with just less than 900,000 is Frank Calo, who recently just had a big chip lead, and now he's in third place.
Yeah, Frank the Tank starting to struggle here as he quickly folds his hand. And the former car salesman, Mike Mustafa, with an ace-deuce. Looks like he's getting some raisin chips out.
Just don't raise too much.
No, keep it affordable for you to call.
Yeah, that's right.
Makes it 75,000.
I want you to fold.
75.
Man, he's putting out some Hollywood script right there in the events. Oh, I don't want you to fold. Betting enough so you can call. That's hokey pokey when you got ace-deuce off suit.
I forgot what I had. Let me see again.
So Carlos with the best hand with ace-6. Now, Carlos thought about raising it there, but opts to just call. So we're going to have a flop here. Carlos with the ace-6, Mike with the ace-deuce.
Who will flop better?
Well, it's jack-7 deuce. So Mike has flopped bottom pair with top kicker. He is out in front now with 2 deuces, and he checks. Now, Carlos is going to bet now that his opponent checked. He fires out 80,000. Mike's going to make the call with 2 deuces. Carlos doesn't like that, I can promise you. 4 diamonds comes off.
Helps neither player. Again on Mike. He checks again.
Now, Carlos checks as well. Carlos hoping his opponent's got something like a 9-10 for a straight draw. About the only hand he can beat here.
King of hearts on the river.
Well, it goes check, check.
1 pair.
Mike is going to win this pot with 2 deuces.
Oh, now I have to raise your button pre-flop.
Well, there you heard it. The Matador said he should have raised back before the flop and taken control of the hand. Chances are he would have won the pot instead of lost it.
Can't call pre-flop right now.
No, I'm not calling you. Make a 160. It looked like you want to make a 170 or something like that.
I almost did it.
Kind of names
My
it.
bad.
Advance to Carlos to feel like he misplayed a hand. It's sort of like turning your back on the bull. It's just something you don't do. In the meantime, Mike Mustafa increasing his chip lead.
Yeah, quit the car business to do exactly what he's doing here tonight. Play big-time poker, and he's doing it well. Action's on him. He quickly mucks a king-9 of diamonds. Kind of surprising.
Well, very surprising to muck that in a 3-handed poker game, especially when you're the chip leader and you're on the button.
But the Matador with a pair of 3s. It's going to pop it up a bit. Makes it 90,000 to go.
And Frank's got the suited connectors, the 5-4 diamonds. He wants to see a flop, so he makes the call.
Yeah. Some little cards.
Oh, now look at this, Vince. We've seen Carlos do this several times at this final table. He's betting 150,000 before the cards even come up on the flop. He doesn't know if they're going to help him or not. Well, flop is 5-4 deuce. Carlos has flopped an open end straight. But look at this. Frank has the top 2 pair, and he has Carlos in bad shape right now.
This could get very interesting.